Okay, so Canada's prices are going to go down 18%. Toronto's are going to go up 7.
Yeah, and that's suspicious too, CMHC. But let's talk about
That's on the
Toronto.
list. That's on the list.
Okay, but let's talk about Toronto specifically. One thing that does not exist in any other city in the world is the demand for home ownership that Toronto has. Every other city in the world, major city, renting is perfectly acceptable. Here we almost kind of look down on it. It's like, oh, you're just renting, like you don't own yet. Like
Sure.
there is a little undertone when people are talking about rental. And
Sure.
so when you have this huge demand constantly that people within society have got ingrained in them that they need to own. That should be the goal. I need to get the job. I need to get the credit. I need to get the down payment. I need to own. That's the goal. You cannot take that away. The only way that you ever slow down the Toronto real estate market is by taking away people's ability to purchase, right? You have to
Well,
take away
and
their
even
ability.
when you take away their ability to purchase, there's still tons of people that have the ability to purchase for cash and rent it to you, and people want to live here. It's I'm telling you, it's the what they call it, the Manhattanization of Toronto. We're following a very similar trajectory. I mean, we're like probably 50, 60 years behind
20,
them.
20 to 30 years
You
behind.
think it's 20, 30 years?
I think so. But either way, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fine.
The main thing is this: interest rates are low, right? People are still able to qualify. Canada's banking system is still intact. The banks are willing to lend. There's stricter guidelines, but they're willing to lend. A lot of Canadians have stable income. There's the job losses are much less than they're more temporary than they are permanent. So there's a lot of people who are going to still be able to go back to work and everything else once all the different bans are over. So we're talking about, the ability to purchase a property is still there. People still have the ability to get lending and financing in whatever it is that they need, and they can go and buy the property that they want. And if you can't buy the condo you want or the house you want, then you just make a concession, right? If I can't go downtown, I'm going to go uptown. If I can't get
Yeah,
in the
but no,
city,
now
you go to
you have to somehow be able to guarantee that your employment's going to stay.
definitely lending has gotten so. I've
Like
had a
if
few
you're in
deals
the
that are.
entertainment or food industry,
Yeah, you're not on a
travel,
mortgage
tourism,
application.
like you're not getting a mortgage.
Yeah, you're not on a mortgage application right now. So there's a hit. But again, we talked about this already. The sales and the amount of people that are coming out of the market because of that, the same amount of people are not putting their houses on the market,
Well, and then so
right?
today I read something, and I didn't pull it for this, but today I read that in immigration into Toronto is going to go from like 100,000, which I think is already a low number, but that's what the article said, 100,000 people
Yep.
this year to 65,000 or 60,000. And I'm sitting there going, well, hang on a sec. Even in our best years, we were only able to produce like 36 or 45,000 units. And we're already behind by like, I don't even know how many units. So
Yeah.
even if immigration gets slashed by 40%,
Mm-hmm.
we still have too many people coming in that need to live somewhere,
Yeah.
right?
We also don't know what's going to happen with immigration. Like there's no shortage of people lining up to get into Canada.
No,
So
they're all
right now,
filling up. They're all filling out applications now. They're all just sitting on them right now.
exactly. So
They're
they're
just
all waiting.
piling up.
So the government in the beginning of the year was proposing, 1 million people over the next 3 years, roughly. And so who's to say that, because I think we're going to be down about 170,000 this year. That's the predictions. So if we've got 170,000 less here, who's to say that they're just not going to spread out that 170,000 that we missed out on over the next 2 years, right? Like who's to say
Sure.
that they're still not going to hit that million person target over 3 years,
And that
right?
million number is such a load of horseshit. I don't know how they come up with it. Just like there was going to be 100,000 deaths from COVID in Toronto.
Yeah, well, that's what the
Their models are all bullshit. But there's going to be a ton of people, like constantly over 100,000 people come into Toronto every single year.
yeah, I was talking about Canada. I think 42% of new Canadians are landing in the GTA.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a
who
pretty
cares
crazy.
about Canada? I'm telling you, we're like an island within the country. We have nothing to do with this country. Nothing matters to Toronto. It's like we're literally living in a shielded bubble.
Yeah, we don't have the same resources that the West has,
Things just
or the
stall
East.
us. Things
Yeah,
from the States just keep fucking us up because we're so tied into these other economies.